Here I am at the Neshaminy Mall in Bensalem, Pennsylvania. This mall is not doing well at all. This is pretty local to me, so I've been coming here most of my life, and I can tell you, I remember it used to be packed here all the time when I came as a kid. And even about 10 years ago, it was still doing pretty well. But now it's a ghost town. And unfortunately, the mall's days are numbered, at least in its current state. It was recently revealed that the owners are planning to demolish a large part of the mall and convert the property into a mixed use retail and residential development. This AMC opened in 1998 along with this whole wing of the mall, the newest wing. And I think AMC still draws a decent crowd, actually. That used to be a bar called Manny Brown's. That had to have closed at least 10 years ago, probably more like 15, and it's been vacant ever since. The mall uses it for storage now. This used to be Cold Stone Creamery. I think this closed in early 2023. For a while, there was a sign on the door saying that it was temporarily closed because they didn't have enough staff, but at one point it just closed altogether. And this used to be Dunkin' Donuts, as you can probably tell from the facade. I never see anyone sitting at the desk in this escape room. Obviously, somebody has to be working there, but I never see anyone. This Animal Rides place used to be Modell Sporting Goods. That closed in 2020 when the company went out of business, and it was vacant up until earlier in 2024 when this place moved in, but who knows how long that'll last. To the right used to be the arcade, but that closed around the end of 2022. They moved to another smaller location for a little while, but then left altogether. So, as you can see, this place is just deserted. And this was filmed at around 1 p.m. on a Sunday afternoon, which is a time that you would expect them all to be busy, but it is just completely dead in here. Neshaminy Mall was opened in 1968 by the Corman Company and Strauss Greenberg. The original anchor stores were Sears and Strawbridge and Clothier. Now we're entering the original wing of the mall. This on the right here used to be Vans. That actually closed only a few weeks before I filmed this in September 2024. I didn't even realize it was closed until I got here. This was FYE. That closed around the end of 2022. And this prom rack place, I think, is still in business, but it's only open for appointments, except during prom season. This, obviously, if you've been to a lot of malls, used to be Sears. That closed in early 2019, and originally it was supposed to become a Round One Entertainment. That never happened, and for about 3 years now, this sign has been here saying that it's going to become a medical facility, but I haven't seen any evidence that that's actually happening. So, I don't know. I doubt it's ever actually going to happen. This Barnes and Noble opened in 2009, and this was a new construction. Originally, there were a few smaller stores here. There was a pet store, there was an Eckerd pharmacy, and there was a Wachovia bank, and there was also an entrance to the mall. That was all demolished, and the Barnes and Noble was built. Straight ahead used to be Charlotte Russe. That closed and got replaced by PJ's Plus, which was a store that sold cheap knockoff stuff. And that closed in early 2024. You can still kind of see the sign scar. This used to be Express. And that little place to the left of Torrid is where the arcade briefly relocated before it closed altogether. Before that, it was Pro Image Sports. And this used to be the children's place. Now it's a pop up wedding venue. It looks like they were set up for a wedding, so I guess there was one later this day. A place that's called The Bridge used to be H&M. That closed, I think, in 2020, and it was vacant until earlier in 2024 when it became The Bridge. I think it's a church. And here's the food court, or what's left of it. There's actually only one restaurant left in the food court. I remember this place used to always be packed when I was here as a kid. You could never find a seat, and now there's only one place left. There was a pizza place here. This is where it was, and that must have closed earlier this year. This used to be the Neshaminy newsstand. They sold lottery tickets, newspapers, snacks, things like that. A lot of malls still have a place like that. This on the end used to be Wendy's. And this right here used to be Chick-fil-A. That closed at the beginning of 2023, and up until it closed, that always drew a big crowd. Straight ahead used to be Hollister, and from what I've read online, that used to be Woolworths. It must have been a pretty small Woolworths, if that's true. In 1975, the mall underwent its first expansion with a new wing anchored by Lit Brothers. The food court opened in 1989, and in 1990, the mall was purchased by Homart Development Company, which was actually owned by Sears. Then in 1995, Homart was purchased by General Growth Properties, so they took over the mall's ownership. In 1998, they built another new wing, which is the one I showed you at the beginning of the video with the AMC. The late 90s was kind of the beginning of the end for Neshaminy Mall. At the time, big box stores like Walmart and Target were gaining national prominence and attracting shoppers away from indoor malls. Actually, in the late 90s, a new power center opened up right across the street with Target, Home Depot, and a number of other stores. Then a few years later, in the early 2000s, another power center opened up a few blocks away with Walmart, Lowe's, and several eateries. Both of these power centers attracted a lot of customers from the Neshaminy Mall. The mall underwent a minor renovation in 2015, which saw the signage replaced, and it also saw the Boscovs expand. Right here is the mall's fountain, which unfortunately is no longer operative. The water used to come out of the statue's hand and pour down, but they got rid of the water and replaced it with some blue fuzzy stuff. This whole thing was built by Strawbridge and Clothier back in 1970. Their store was located right next to this. And it was named in honor of the Neshaminy tribe, which lived right around here on the Neshaminy Creek. Unfortunately, you don't see too many mall fountains anymore that actually still work. Please enjoy our natural fountain setting. That's funny. Anyway, this here is where Strawbridge and Clothier was located, and the balcony up there was actually their restaurant. Strawbridge and Clothier was here until 2006 when it was replaced by Macy's. Then Macy's closed in 2017, and it's been vacant ever since. They put up this wallpaper that I guess is supposed to make it look like it's an actual store from far away. 2023, someone actually bought the building, and they're planning to open up a gym in here. But I don't think any construction has actually been done on that yet at all. Another cool thing they have are these dioramas, which depicts the arrival of William Penn and the Quakers in Pennsylvania when they met the Native Americans. These have been here since the mall opened in 1968, and they actually used to move. I'm not sure when they stopped moving, but unfortunately, there's only 3 left. There used to be 7. And I believe they belonged to Strawbridge and Clothier because the owner of the Macy's building says that he plans to donate the remaining 3 to Bensalem Township, which is where the other 4 are now, at the municipal building. In 2018, Brookfield Properties became the owner of the mall when they acquired General Growth Properties. The loss of 2 out of 3 anchor stores in less than 2 years, combined with the COVID restrictions that followed, really did a number on the mall. By 2024, the vacancy rate had shot up to over 50%. This used to be Lids, and now it's some sort of pop-up place. Every once in a while, something different pops up here. Right now, it's Night Owl Graphics Showroom. I'm not sure what that is. It wasn't open when I was here. But I did manage to get a quick look inside. Now we're entering the 1975 wing, which is arguably the busiest part of the mall. Not that that's saying much. This right here used to be Gertrude Hawk's Chocolates. There's not many of those around anymore. And that used to be Journey's right there. That closed earlier in 2024. This was Spencer's, as you can probably tell. That closed earlier in 2024. And that on the right used to be a restaurant called Cafe Riviera, which I think was pretty popular. From what I've read, that kind of got pushed out of the mall, and this hairdressing school moved in. It was closed because I was here on a Sunday, but it's still in business. In July 2024, the mall was sold to Paramount Realty Group and Edgewater Properties, and shortly thereafter, it was reported that they were planning on tearing down roughly half the mall. The exact details of the proposed redevelopment aren't yet known, but it could include a mix of retail and residential properties, similar to the Monmouth Mall over in New Jersey. And from what I understand, the Boscov's, AMC, and Barnes and Noble are all staying, as well as the out parcel restaurants Uno and On the Border. And finally, this is where Lit Brothers was located from 1975 to 1977. It was replaced by Pomeroy's. Pomeroy's closed in 1987 and was replaced by Bonton. Bonton closed in 1994 and Boscov's moved in 1995. There you have it. That's the Neshaminy Mall. If you want to see it, then you better get out here soon because it might not be here for much longer. Thanks for watching.